Time for some Big Sugar talk with Reid. We did a quick chat with Kyle about the Big Sugar gravel race down in Bentonville. Now we've got Reid here. We're going to run through Reid's race. Reid, why don't you tell everybody what the Big Sugar gravel race is?
The Big Sugar is a gravel race in Bentonville, Arkansas. It's supposed to be 100 miles, but due to some weather risks, they shortened it to 50.
Which was a different course, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So you guys had pre-rode, we drove and pre-rode some of the 100. And the only part of the course that was the same would have been like the last 15 to 20 or something?
I think that's about it.
Okay. And then this was the weekend after the Little Sugar mountain bike race.
Yes.
Cool. So what are we going to talk about? Are we going to talk about a little bit of the pre-ride? I got some questions for you on that. We'll talk about your bike setup a little bit, which was probably not the right bike setup for the 50-mile course. Probably the right bike setup, but not the right gear setup. We'll just talk about your race really quick. It was a short race, right? It was only 50 miles, so kind of ripped through it. But there was a couple eventful things that happened with you. You crashed at some point.
Yeah.
You got caught in the storm, that type of stuff, right?
Yeah.
All right, so a few questions for you, Reid. On the way down, you guys had stopped and pulled off on some gravel road, and we're like, the gravel's not that bad. But then we went and drove the course, what was supposed to be the course. What was different, or what did, after pre-riding, what were you thinking?
After pre-ride, the gravel was a lot chunkier than I was anticipating.
You guys, when you stopped to see part of the course on your way into town the week before, you obviously saw a very tame part of the course. Then when we drove it and you pre-rode something, you're like, oh, yeah, I do need some more tire and that type of thing. So
Definitely, yeah.
you did 2 pre-rides, we drove it, and then you guys rode a little section, which ended up being irrelevant, but you were geared up for 100 miles of some pretty chunky gravel.
Yeah.
Maybe we'll just jump on the bike right now. What tires did you run?
Conti Terra Trails.
Yeah, and you're used to running Terra speeds, right?
Yes.
And so in 45s, but we didn't want to run Terra speeds. We just figured you would slice those up. And the Terra Trails, it's not that they're like a super rowdy tire, but it's a similar tread pattern to the Terra speeds, just a lot thicker.
Yeah, just a little bit thicker.
And so we had a Vittoria, I think like maybe it was at a T60 that you were potentially going to run instead. And then you just said, let me run the Terra Trails. I've been running that same tread pattern, just not as thick of a tread pattern. Last minute call.
Yeah, pretty much.
We loaded up sealant, right? Same deal as the mountain bikes.
Yeah.
We put 16 ounces in, but we didn't have 16 ounces of sealant in there. There's probably only like 12 that actually made it into the tire because it just kind of overflows. A lot of sealant, but even just on the one pre-ride day, there was cuts all over your guys' tires.
Oh, yeah.
So from the sharp rocks, so we just might err on the side of get a bunch of cuts and plugs and whatever, losing sealant. You still got sealant in there. And there's more in there that can get dried up with just hitting it with a CO2. We probably wouldn't go that much again. We talked about that on the mountain bike. We dial it back. I'd probably still put like 8 to 12 ounces in there though for it. But
yeah, probably.
with the 45s, as much as we got in there, you could feel it in there. But I'd rather finish the race than have to walk it. What else? You were running, what drivetrain you have? Same as Gravel Nationals.
Yeah.
We talked about that. It's a 2x Shimano mechanical. What bike you got?
Jameis Renegade.
And you were packed up for the 100 miles, a couple extra TPU tubes taped to the frame because they're lightweight. And anything else of significance? I was gonna meet you out at mile 40 with bottles, right? And then again at 70 something, but then I didn't meet you on course at all because the course got changed.
Yeah, that was the original plan, but the course changed. Just decided not to.
And you were kind of overpacked because you had already had all your stuff mixed, bags on the bike, you're dressed, we're ready to ride to the start line, and then you find out the course is a 50-mile, and we're like, you don't need the bottles that I'm going to meet you with, but yeah, I guess just take your hydration pack. We could have poured some out, but
Probably, yeah. But,
yeah. Didn't want to run out of stuff either. You got a mismatched wheel. Something else happened the afternoon before when we were kind of doing some tire change and making blast checks on the bikes. Found your bearings in your front hub were in bad shape.
Yeah, they were not in good shape at all.
And it had been, I think your bike sat for a couple weeks because you did Gravel Nationals. It was pretty muddy. And then I bet they were contaminated and water was in them and they sat and rusted up. You did 2 pre-rides on them and then they were toast.
Yeah.
So we swapped wheels. I had my gravel bike down there, so we just put his tire on one of my wheels. That's why there's a mismatch of wheels. The bike needs to be serviced. It's going to get torn down and get fully serviced. This one actually is going to go on the shop floor as a used bike. Yeah, it's ready for service. All right, so let's get into the race. So you already had the course preloaded, right?
Yes, I had both of them for the scenarios.
Okay, so both courses loaded, so you were ready to go. I know there were some people in the pro race that did not have the other course loaded. You crashed at some point, but then the rollout, was the rollout fast for you too, the neutral?
Yeah, it was really fast.
Okay, so yeah, walk me through the rollout, and then, because I think you mentioned you kind of like blew up or went too hard at the start, and then kind of paid for it later. I think you were just probably pretty fatigued and just from the ride and everything anyway. But so yeah, let's walk through the start and tell me about the rollout, like all the way up to the Reid. Yeah, tell us about the race.
For the neutral rollout, I was pretty close to Kyle, starting right behind him, and then noticed he totally messed up his clip in, so we just made sure to get around him, and then kind of just kept trying to slowly work my way towards the front.
Okay.
And then legs were feeling pretty good, and then all of a sudden they just like completely died.
How far in we at this point then?
Probably like 20 minutes in,
Okay.
legs kind of just died, and then fading to the next group, and then I saw Kyle there, and I just could not latch on at all. And
Okay.
I just told Kyle I went out way too hard, and then yeah, kind of
Got
kept
it.
slowly fading. From
Do you
there.
remember? I don't have it up. Did you remember looking at your power numbers and see what was it? Did you just was it too hard, or you just had some fatigue built up?
He was like 300 watt normalized power for 20 minutes.
Yeah. So he went too hard. Because I think the last time we did an FTP test, you were like 280 some watts FTP or 260 something. 260 something.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like 260 something. So yeah, we should go back and look at that again. I forgot to look at that. But yeah, so you effectively normalized power for 20 minutes above your FTP.
Yeah.
Yeah. Or potentially might have set a new FTP. Although I never got a Training Peaks notification on it. I'll have to go back and dig into that. Sorry, I don't have that here. Anyway, and then at some point you crashed. How'd you crash?
It was a left turn, kind of like 90-degree left turn, not very chunky at all, pretty smooth. I think I just was braking too late, potentially, and then kind of just slid on my stomach.
Got it. Was it kind of you couldn't stop and make the turn in time type of deal?
You definitely could have.
You
I
just
think
did.
I just overcooked
You
it a little
overcooked
bit.
the
Yeah.
corner and then got it. Okay. So it wasn't the right-hander that was off camber that like some of the pros crashed out at.
No.
And then after that, did it take you kind of a little bit to just get your legs back underneath you?
A little bit, yeah.
Did it knock the wind out of you, or you were pretty good, but
Legs are just not really feeling it that day in general.
got it.
But I went out too hard too, so that's
Yeah, you definitely cooked them at the beginning. You did that at the Little Sugar race too.
yeah.
But you set like all-time power PRs from 2 minutes all the way through 10 minutes at the start of the Little Sugar. Dude's excited to race. How many miles in is that then?
I think I crashed like 12 miles in or something.
Okay, so you still had almost 40 to go. And then, yeah, walk me through the rest of it. Anything else eventful? Maybe you had an aid station around 20 some miles or something?
From mile like 12 to like maybe mile 40 was kind of just slowly fading, sort of.
Okay. Just kind of struggling through it.
Yeah.
Got it. It looks like at mile 7.8, you were sitting at 68. Mile 33, you were back to 207. So you dropped a bunch of spots between there and there. And I could see on the map Kyle kind of pulling away from you a bit on it. So how many miles in when the rain hit?
I think we were hitting the rain through the aid station.
Okay,
think-
so about halfway through the race.
Yeah.
Okay. And then I'm going to jump forward through it because you, like mile 42, you dropped a few more spots, but then you picked up some spots by mile 45 and then fell back again. But when you came through the finish, you were out of this. No, I can't remember if you were out of this. You hammered through the finish. Like
Yeah.
you were putting down some power at the finish. And if I look at your power numbers, and we kind of jumped through a bunch of it because you're just kind of grinding it out, right? Yeah. And then your average power for the whole race was 212 watts. And your max was 881. and your average weighted power was like 231. So you definitely, yeah, I mean, just looking at, you spent 20 minutes at almost 270 watts. So you definitely cooked yourself at the start. You had a 1 minute power in there for like 490 watts, but you were a 3 hour race. You finished 216th and you finished 12th of 17 in the 19 and under, right?
Yeah.
In 3 hours in 3 minutes. Average speed 17.6. Yeah, your pace the first 7.8 miles, your average speed was 23.2 going through the 7.8 mile mark. Anything else you want to say about it?
No.
You want to go back next year and do the whole full 100 course?
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Do Little Sugar and Big Sugar again.
Yes.
Yeah, awesome. Cool. Good job, Reid. Thanks for doing this.
Yeah.
Later.
See ya.